Well, back to the 7610 versus 890, and why this 890, well, I'm starting to get a little bit of affection for this radio. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hey, if you happen to like our content, please consider subscribing, maybe giving us a thumbs up once in a while. We very much appreciate it. So this TS-890 versus the ICOM IC-7610. A few weeks ago, I would have said the 7610, no questions asked, is going to stay. The 890 is going to be sold. Well, the more I've had time to sit and use both radios for extended periods of time, the more affection I'm getting for that TS-890. And probably the best way I've come to maybe compare the two radios is it's like comparing apples to Androids or apples to PCs. The IC-7610 is going to be your Apple product. It's made for the everyday consumer. It's easy to use. It's no fuss, no muss. It just gets the job done. And it's easy. It's the average appliance operator, which would probably be me, can find this radio easy to use, and you can go on everyday life, and it's not going to give you any hassle. A TS-890, besides not having a second receiver in it, come to find out, it's a little more versatile than the 7610, and we'll jump into that in just a little bit. But today's video is mainly going to be focused on receive comparison between the two radios, because that seems to be what a lot of people find of great importance. And let me get this out of the way first, because I've been asked this multiple times, is which radio is better on those low-level signals that you can just barely make out? Which one is the better of the weak signal radios? Well, after hours and hours of listening to it, and I've got a lot of it recorded, and I'm just going to put a few snippets in here and there of some of that recording because it's actually pretty boring, is there's very little difference between these two radios. The 7610, at times I thought was a little better than the 890, and then at other times I thought the 890 was a little better than the 7610. But the differences are so minor that it's not even worth really bringing up. It's just kind of, at the time I switched between the radios, I'd give each one 4 to 5 seconds and switch over the other one and listen. And then, you know, the band conditions may change just a little bit. And one would have a slight advantage, and then the other one would have a slight advantage. And I think it had more to do with band conditions than the actual radios themselves. So as far as weak signal work, both radios are excellent, and that's under pretty quiet band conditions. So, you know, I don't know, I just don't have a lot of noise out here. I did create some noise, and you'll see that on one of the tests and how each radio handled that noise. But as far as just no attenuation set to 0, no preamps, just everything set the same on both radios, boy, I really couldn't find much difference between the two on the weak signal work.
Okay, very good. Thank you for the correction on the call. Whiskey 5 Papa Sugar, very good. There's another European right below you causing QR Mexico, so I won't hold it. But thank you very much for the QSO, and very surprising Finland coming in this time of the day with these terrible conditions. So 73, good DX. And thank you very much for the QSO. OH3ENF, Whiskey 5 Papa Sugar, 73.
Now, on the previous video, I mentioned that I felt the filtering was better on the 890, and after using it some more, I'm going to completely stick by that statement. Hands down, no questions, you can do more with the filters on the 890 versus the 7610. And we'll dive into that in just a little bit and show you some screenshots of all the changes you can make to the filters on the 890 compared to the 7610. Now, the other thing I stumbled across, and I hadn't really thought about it before till I started trying to maybe put some receive equalization, change, how you want that sound to come out of your speakers. I may not want flat all the time. If I'm working DX, I'd rather have the high pass kind of sound coming through, or high boost, however you want to say it. And this is one area the 890 completely shines over the 7610, is they've got this nice little button here on the side of the radio for your receive equalizer. And you push it and it turns your default one on. And you can just as easily turn it off, just on, back and forth. The 7610, it's hidden in menus. You have to go in and find it. And you've only got two adjustments to it. Your treble and bass. That's all you have on the 7610. The 890, on the other hand, you've got lots of options. You can go in and make custom settings, and you've got a complete equalizer set up in there. So any equalization you want, you can set up in that 890. And you just hold the button down for a couple seconds and it brings up the complete list, and you can go in and choose those and turn them off and on. And it's a great feature on the 890 that just flat isn't available on the 7610.
Whiskey Alpha Zero Victor Lima Charlie. Yeah, the call is Whiskey Alpha Zero Victor Lima Charlie. Victor Lima Charlie, the name is located in Iowa, in the state of Iowa. You're about a 5 and 5, 55 in the state of Iowa. 089 ENA WA0 Victor Lima Charlie. Yeah, QSL, Reppy, copy 100%. Your signal is right at about 5 and 5 or 5 and 6. Not very strong here in Iowa today, and we are running 1,000 watts into the 11-element OptiBeam, the OptiBeam from Germany. I won't keep it, Reppy. Your signal is not that strong, but I thought I'd jump in and give you a quick signal report. You're busting through the noise. You're making it through the noise here in Iowa today. OH9 ENA WA0 VLC. Go ahead.
So one thing I wanted to try on these two radios, and it really doesn't have much to do with the receive test, but I wanted to test the software between the two radios, the RSBA1 for the ICOM and the ARCP-890 for the Kenwood. And the big noticeable difference here is back kind of to the Apple versus Android thing. a product I can find in the Android Play Store is free, and I go over to Apple and they want money for it. And that's kind of the same way with their software. For some reason, ICOM decided their software is worth whatever it is, $100 or whatever they're selling it for. And I think it's a complete waste of money myself. It's okay. It's not worth $100. It's nowhere near worth $100. The Kenwood software is completely free. You just download it, put the driver in, and away you go. I did have to boot the program a couple times before it would recognize the COM port and start working. So just keep that in mind. If you bring it up the first time, it doesn't recognize the COM port or won't connect to it, set the COM port, shut the program down, turn it back on, and then it came right up. Now, the main reason I wanted to test these is to see if I could get in on the ICOM and maybe find some other filtering that I could turn on, maybe in the receive equalization. Maybe there's something else besides treble and bass, and maybe it was hidden in that software somewhere that you couldn't access from the main screen. Well, it's still just treble and bass through the software. So that was kind of a bummer. But on the Kenwood software, you can go in and put lots of custom settings for your receive equalizer. I think there's 3 or 4 in there. You can custom set up to whatever you want and go in there and save it, and then it's available from the front screen of the radio anytime you want to access it. You don't have to access it again from the PC. The other thing I wanted to check was how the band scope worked on the 890 through the computer. I want to see if it was any better. Well, it's not any better. It's worse on the computer. It's quite a bit worse. As you can see from this screenshot, it's not great at all. It works. And I was hoping some of the functionality that the 7610 has might be available through the software on the 890, where you could grab the mouse and scroll back and forth on the frequency. But again, you can't. You can use the mouse and click on a frequency on the band scope and it will jump there. But you can't do any fine tuning directly from the mouse. You have to go to this screen and use this goofy little up and down thing, and it wasn't great. So the software between these two radios, which is the winner? Well, the winner is going to be Kenwood just because it's free. Neither one's great, but ICOM charging nearly $100 for their software is just ridiculous. It's not that great a software, and I know there's some guys that use it and love it. Now, the Kenwood software, I played a little bit with the host. I can't remember the name of it. They've got a host and a remote package so you can control your radio remotely. I played around a little bit with it. It's a little cumbersome to set up. Again, it feels old school. The way the interface is, it just feels a little old school. It's not great, but it does work. And the ICOM works too. Again, when I used it about a year ago, I played around with it a little bit. I found it a little bit buggy. It was a little easier than the Kenwood software, but again, it costs money, so in my opinion, don't waste your time on the software. If I wanted a computer or a radio that hooked up to a computer, I would have bought a Flex radio a long time ago. Something else I wanted to try on both radios is the noise reduction feature. So I went through the house, turned on every TV, every PC, everything I could think of that would create some noise. Finally found one of the TVs. It's actually a little 32-inch TV. It's a little bit older one. It creates birdies like crazy, and a couple of them fell out, did dead on some frequencies where some people were talking close by. So it gave me a chance to try a couple things. One was the noise reduction, and the other was the notch feature on both these radios. Now, I'll talk about the noise reduction very quick, and here's what it kind of sounded like when I used noise reduction. And it's one of those hard comparisons to make because the ICOM doesn't have quite the same setup as the Kenwood. The Kenwood has like 2 settings, and you can go in and adjust these a little bit by holding the button down for a couple seconds. But you can jump between no noise reduction, the first level and the second level pretty quick on the Kenwood. The ICOM, on the other hand, you have to go into this little menu and you can adjust it. Usually I leave it set down here around 3 or 4. So I consider that's probably, and listening to it, it's probably about the same level as the noise reduction 1 on the Kenwood. And then I cranked it up to about a 7 or 8 to get to where it sounded similar to the noise reduction on 2 on the Kenwood. So I'm not a huge fan of this noise reduction feature on either one of these radios. When I turn it on, it does help some. If you've got some noisy band conditions, some QRM, that helps a little bit on both radios. I'm not going to say it's a lifesaver by any stretch of the imagination, but what I find the audio sounds like after going through the noise reduction on either radio, it sounds very digitized, and it's got a lot of digital artifacts left over on both of them. It's not terrible on either one. I'd give the edge to the Kenwood for the noise reduction. It just sounds maybe a little bit better. Again, there's no real clear winner to me on either one of these radios. It's a feature in my location. I just don't use it that often, so it's not really that important to me. But if you're in a location where you've got a lot of noise and maybe that noise reduction helps, it'd be interesting to try both radios in that situation and see which would be the winner. In my particular case, I can't pick a clear winner between the two. They both sound equally bad.
Probably 20 more days left of winter, so we might get a surprise, hopefully. If not, I'm just enjoying this mild winter here in Delaware. Whiskey 6 Tango Alpha, November 3 Delta, X-Ray Delta. Back to you, sir.
Okay, very nice copy, by the way, David. S3DXC from W6 Tango Alpha returning. Well, very good. You're up 5 to 10 over 9 on the peaks, David, so doing a very good job. And, boy, it was a shockaroo. You're not going to win too many friends over the air, David, by saying that I was licensed before you were born. I didn't think that I would ever hear that when I first started out. I was only 14 years old at the time, and I was the young whippersnapper that was on the air at the time. So, reality check, I guess, more than anything else, David. So, just playing with you over there, but kind of a strange feeling to hear something like that. I know that there's a lot of guys that were born after 1958, but just to really stop to think about it. I know the weather, by the way, David, that you haven't had snow yet this year. I know you're further south in New York, New Jersey and everything, but I didn't think that you were south enough to avoid snow altogether. I'm sure you've had some cold days, but no snow at all. That's pretty good. And you could scratch the days off of the calendar, like you said. There's only about 20 days left to winter. I didn't realize that, but you could count the days down. I wonder if there has been years that you haven't had any snow, zero snow for the entire winter, or if this would be the first one. And maybe we could call this global warming or something like that. I wonder what you're running, David. It does sound very good. You get nice audio, and signal is picking up nicely. N3DXC W6 Tango Alpha. Go ahead, David.
Now here is one area that I found very interesting on the two radios is the notch feature. The Kenwood is, again, far easier to use for this notch feature. Well, at first I didn't think it was. I couldn't find the auto notch function on the Kenwood. Come to find out, there's really not an auto notch. They've got, I think it's called beat cancel or something like that. So if you've got a signal that sounds like this, that beat cancel or whatever Kenwood calls it, works pretty good to eliminate it. And they don't have quite the same auto notch function that the ICOM has, where you can just turn the auto notch on and it finds that carrier or whatever's there bugging you and just notches it out. But if you're trying to manually notch something out, the Kenwood's by far easier to use. It's that little scope that pops up there that you can see exactly where that notch is, and you can just use the knob and slide it to whatever's interfering with you and just notch it right out. And you've got, I think, 3 settings on it, so you can make it real narrow, a little wider, and pretty wide notch. It's just really easy to use on the Kenwood. The ICOM, on the other hand, if you have to use the manual notch, it's not quite as easy as you can see here.
Maybe next year we'll be there again. exciting. Okay, my friend, thank you much for the call. I enjoyed talking with you. You made me remember Vegas. I have a beautiful, beautiful Sunday.
And you'll have to tell me if you come to Vegas, maybe we'll have to meet up for dinner. So the 73's Ralph. You have a great day, and we'll see you down the log. X-Ray Echo 1, Radio Kilo from November 7th, Indian Kilo. 73's right there.
Now, I don't use the notch feature all that often, but every once in a while I do. And I kind of got lazy with the ICOM. I just hit the auto notch and let it go. If somebody was tuning up right next to where I was trying to talk, it would just go notch them out. And it worked fairly effectively. And I haven't played with the beat cancel thing much to see if it's as effective on people tuning up close by, but I find that the actual notch feature itself works so well that it's just easy to slide it, that filter over, and bam, you just took that guy's signal right off, so you can carry on your conversation. So at first I was going to say I like the ICOM better until I started using them both side by side a little bit. And I'm like, you know, I kind of actually like the manual notch feature better on the Kenwood. So I'm going to kind of stop right there for today, wrap this up. I wanted to give you kind of a synopsis of what I've been seeing on the receive test between these two radios. And there's a lot of stuff we could dive into. If there's things you want to see, leave it in the comments below. I'll take those comments and the comments from the previous video, and we'll kind of wrap up all your questions on these two radios and help you make up your mind if you're thinking about either one of these radios. Now, a month ago, I would have said, no question, the 7610 is what's going to stay. If a radio has to go, it's going to be the 890. Well, the more I use the two radios, the more familiar I become with the 890, it's getting harder to decide if I had to choose one of these, which one would stay and which one would go. It kind of comes down to usability. A month ago, that's pretty much what my decision was going to be based on, was the 890 is harder to use than the 7610. It's not as easy of a user interface. It's back to the Apple versus PC or Android. It's just easy to use. It's a product that just works. There's no fussing with it. You turn the radio on and most of the functions you can find pretty easy on that 7610 and just go. And it goes back to the 7300. It was the same way. Both those radios are, don't get offended, appliance operator radios. And I find myself in that category quite often anymore. But the 890, it's got some features that I'm starting to really like the receive equalization. It's so easy to go in and make custom settings in something other than just treble and bass, and be able to rotate through those and find the setting that's I'm happy with. The 7610, you know, it works okay. It's nothing to write home about though. So the one killer for me, and this is probably going to sound ridiculous to most people, is the 890's inability to use a mouse to scroll through frequencies. If it had that feature, I don't know which radio I would, if I had to choose one, I don't know which I would pick. It would be a complete toss-up at this point. But because it's not there, I lean towards using the 7610 when I'm back here on the shack, just because it's a feature that I like so much. And again, it's something that most people probably won't care about. You probably don't have a shoulder injury where sitting there with your arm across the table on tuning a VFO would bug it. Mine does. And so having the mouse feature has brought kind of a new aspect to ham radio for me, because there for a while, I dreaded coming back and trying to get on the radio for any length of time, just because my shoulder would start hurting when I'm trying to find some DX or whatever I was doing that night. It would just start bugging me. I'd turn the radio off and go find something else to do. The 7610's completely changed that. It's made it fun to get on the radio again. So that's something I'm really not willing to give up for my everyday operating. So Kenwood, if you're listening, make that a feature on that 890. Do a firmware upgrade and you'll have a real winner as far as I'm concerned anyway. So I didn't want to get too long on this video. I just kind of want to give a wrap up of what I've been seeing as I've been testing these two radios. And I've tried to make it as fair as possible between the two radios. I'm a Kenwood fan from a long time back. But again, as far as usability, I still like the ICOM better. It's more straightforward and it's an enjoyable experience to sit down and use it. But the more comfortable I'm getting with the 890, the more I don't mind it. Again, the manual for that radio is terrible. It's I don't know how far I want to dig into that hole, but it's not a good manual. And every time I open that manual, I just get frustrated and uptight trying to find what I'm looking for. And some of the information is just flat not in it that should be in it. Either that or they've changed the word I'm looking for and I'm searching for the wrong keyword. But I've spent literally hours hunting through that manual since I've had that radio, trying to find features that I want to turn on, turn off, figure out how to do it. And some of the things I wanted to learn how to do weren't even in the manual. I just had to fumble my way through and find it. So yeah, that's not been a positive experience on the 890. RF wise, I really like the 890 though. So that's about it for today. Thanks for watching, subscribing, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Well, I almost forgot again. Here's a link. Down below is another link to the video we did about the Strike Force fire starter. Great little bushcraft survival tool, and I highly recommend that product. And we're going to be giving one of those away. All you need to do is go leave a comment on that video, and it automatically enters you to win one of them. So also below is the Amazon affiliate link to that product again. And we really appreciate you guys using those Amazon affiliate links. You don't have to buy the particular product that we're talking about. If you just click on that and go do your normal Amazon shopping that you're going to do anyway, it gives us a small percentage of your purchase. It doesn't cost you anything extra, and it really helps support the channel. So thank you very much for using those, and I think that about wraps it up. May God bless your day, and we'll see you guys on the next video.
Fantastic pictures, but what stands out the most is your beautiful family there.
Oh, thank you much for the kind words. Yeah, I'm very proud of my family. We are all together here. Nobody gets married yet, so we're still here. The six of us, Ryan, thank you for the kind words. And yes, I am using the 1700 with the EQ Plus. The EQ Plus, and it helps a little bit to get a little more better audio, I think. I have been trying this for a while, and it's perfect with the 1700, the EQ Plus. And my next option will be the equalizer, the 8-band equalizer, to get a little more better audio even with this new radio, Ryan. So, but yours sounds perfect, and excellent signal and great audio. No distortion at all. Very easy to copy and very steady. Almost no TSB on your signal. How's the weather in Las Vegas today? My last time there, I remember 115 degrees Fahrenheit, 115 degrees. I was dying that day in July a couple of years ago. Ryan, how's the weather today in Vegas? Over?
Oh yes, 115. That's definitely a normal summer day for us. 58 is temperature, and I think we're looking at a high of 71 is what they're forecasting today. No wind. Just some very high clouds in the sky, not many, so mostly a blue sky. It's a very, very beautiful day. Nice and comfortable for, especially for, they say winter, but I don't really think we get winter here in Las Vegas. So, but I know those days are coming where it's going to be 115 degrees, and I'll be trying to hide in the house under the air conditioner. That's what I do when it's July in Las Vegas anytime I can. So what's it like down there today in New Mexico City?
Okay, we have 7.
Hopefully we catch you many times over the years, and you'll have to tell me if you come to Vegas, maybe we'll have to meet up for dinner. So the 73's Ralph, you have a great day, and we'll see you down the log. X-Ray Echo 1 Radio Kilo from Nevada.
7-3 Ryan. I'm sure we'll see you soon again, and we'll continue this chatting. And I really thank you for the nice QSO. I enjoyed talking with you. Have a beautiful day, and see you next time, Ryan. And November 7, Romeo Mike Kilo. This is XC1RK Mexico, QRZ.